Peter Baker, former Ryder Cup player, former Ryder Cup vice captain, and a winner on tour in 4 decades. So, first of all, Peter, if I can take you back to 1993, the Ryder Cup, you played Fred Couples and Paul Azinger, and you beat them. You beat number 5 and 6 in the world at that time. How was that for you? What type of experience was that?
Incredible, really. I mean, the whole thing, really, the sort of build up to it, which in those days just run from January to September to get the points to qualify for the team, and it even goes back a little bit further than that to '91 when good friends of mine, Paul Broadhurst and David Guilford, got in the one at Kiowa, which sort of drove me on a bit really to make the '93 team at the Belfry near my home, obviously. So really sort of big build up all to that, and then the sort of closer we got to it, the sort of more pressure that developed as it's getting closer to the team. And fortunately for me, I won a couple of times, so it was like almost like I wouldn't say sort of 2.5 years, but certainly a good 6 months of it felt like it was Ryder Cup pressure, I guess, really in a way. And then obviously making the team was just a brilliant feeling. And I think going into that first team meeting at the Belfry was just amazing. I mean, I never, you had Faldo, Langer, Woozy, Lathabal, Sevi, who else you have there? Montgomery, Rocker. So all the big boys are there. But so the guys that had played in America a lot, the major winners, the big five, if you want to call it, I couldn't believe how desperate they were to beat the Americans. I mean, they were just incredibly motivated to meet them. And I thought I was, a reasonably good competitor and wanted to win desperately. And then you see these guys and they're really pumped up for it. And it was just blew me away, really. So it was just right from that go, it was just incredible. And I was fortunate that my first outing on the first day on the Friday was in the afternoon with the four balls with Ian Woosnam, who's a good pal of mine. So that was a little bit better. It made you feel a little bit better, even though it was like the first tee shot was like almost like an out of body experience. That's the only best way I can explain it. It was just, a few prayers before we hit it, and hopefully it went reasonably well. And it helped that the fact the Americans hit a couple of bad shots as well from the first tee, and then Woozy did the same, and I sort of squirted one down the left. So once that was out the way, normally in a normal tournament it would sort of, you'd be up and running sort of thing, but in the Ryder Cup it took you a couple of holes to sort of get settled. So that was that's the way it started, and we managed to win that match. And then of course the big match, really, as you referred to, was obviously Azinger and Couples, which was the real big one. And really I was fairly hopeless the first 2 or 3 holes, and they won one early on. And then Woozy had a fantastic shot to the old third at the Belfry there with about a 3-iron. Couples had already hit it to about 6 feet, and they were one up. And then Woozy hit it to about, he stiffed it virtually 2 feet. And Couples missed the putt, and Woozy held it, got us back to level. And then after that, really, I sort of took over, played some great shots, putted brilliantly, and the rest is history, as we say. And we give him a real good smashing, and it was a great feeling. Couples was fantastic. He took it really well, to be fair, or as best you could do. Azinger didn't really take it very well, and sort of after about 6 or 7 holes, when we all of a sudden got 2 or 3 up, he put his hand on my shoulder and says, "Oh, Peter, do you always put like that with a long follow through?" Just trying to get into my mind. And I give him the 2-word answer back, as you can imagine, and that was that. But even at the end on the green, he was when we went to shook hands, it was very difficult for him. But so he didn't take that too well. But that's the competitive side in him, I suppose.
And like you said, you were paired with Woosnam. He's a great friend of yours. How did that friendship come about?
That came about way back at Lishall Hall, going back to probably, I'm going to say it was 81. And at that time, Woozy was just breaking on the scene. I think he'd had about 3 or 4 seconds or something like that at the time. And his bank manager, a guy called Terry James, was a member at Lishall at the same time. He knew I was, keen and everything. And he fixed it up to have a game in the winter there in one of the weeks. And and that was basically it, really. And I realised the funny thing about that is I sort of played a little bit with Sandy because I got taught by Alex Lyle, Sandy's father, for a little while there. And I sort of played a bit with Wuzzy as an amateur. So, you sort of realise you've got a long way to go because they were like incredible strikers of the golf balls, great players. But leading on from that, when I went on to tour, I just thought you had to be sort of that sort of standard to be really, really good on tour. And then when I got on there, I wouldn't say most of the guys, that's wrong, but a lot of the guys wasn't up to that standard or didn't hit it as well as that. Of course, as you go on down the line, you realise, and I now realise that they probably, I'd have to say, they're in the top sort of 5 of best ball strikers I've ever played with in my life. But of course, at the time, I was 14, 15, 16 growing up. You didn't realise that. I thought everybody hit it like that on tour. So that was interesting.
And in that Ryder Cup, you played with the likes of Seve, Sam Torrance, so on. Were you all there? Was there like a level of friendship, or were you there to do the business and go on to the next tournament?
No, very much as a team. Yeah, very much bonded as a team. Very much together. Very much trying to help the rookies. I think there's 3 or 4 rookies in that team. I think Barry Lane, myself, Hegman, maybe 3. And so they really sort of put their arm around you and sort of guided you the right way. And if there's any problems, you could always ask them. And interestingly enough, me and Barry Lane got played to play the foursomes on the second day, I think it was. So 2 rookies against Payne Stewart and Ray Floyd. Anyway, we go down to breakfast early morning. It's about 6:30 and having the cornflakes or whatever we're doing, sitting down, sort of a bit of idle chat. And next thing you know, you can see Sevy's sort of hovering about. And he always had that feeling when he was about. I can't explain that. It was just he just had that sense. And he came down and sat with us. So we both knew he was going to say something, obviously, and to do with the golf. And he sat down. And eventually he came out with it. He said, "Well, guys, you got a very difficult game today. Ray Floyd, a very hard competitor. Be aware." He said he'll move his glove. He'll rip his glove at the wrong time on your backswing, or he'll rattle some change in his pocket, or he'll do his clubs. And he always wears white shoes, he says, so he'll always put white shoes in your eye line. He says, you must be aware. He says, at the right time, he'll do something. It's going to be a really tough match. And we looked at each other, me and Barry, and said, well, like you, Sevy, And Sevy came out with a great eye. He said, no. He says, I'm professional. This is very professional, And he was sort of warning. Anyway, cut a long story short, we get to the 16th, and me and Barry played okay, but they played really well. And on the 15th, and we were 3 down. That's right, 3 down. And Ray Floyd missed about a 10-foot putt for a birdie, and I had just inside about a 9-foot putt for a birdie, which became a big putt at the time. And as he missed the putt. As he picked his ball up, Ray Floyd walked all along my line with a putt with the old spikes on. So you can imagine it all kicked off. A lot of words said, blah blah blah. Of course, I missed the putt, and that's what Sevy was referring to. At the right time, you did the right thing, affected your concentration, so on and so forth. So yeah. So they always point out things like that. That was amazing. That.
And then fast forward in 13 years, you became the vice captain of the 2006 Ryder Cup. How was that, having to manage the likes of a young, charismatic Casey and those type of characters?
Yeah, it was really interesting. I mean, it's difficult that I think with the build-up to it, because the point system, you've got a few picks and everything. And there's that many really, really good players that could get in. You could pick 2. We pick 2 teams most times now, Europe. So it becomes really, really difficult, and you're hoping the really, really good players find their form and get in. And obviously you want the players who maybe you pick or just get in, you want them in form as well. That's really, really the big thing about it. And we had a really, really strong team. I think the difficult thing for Ian and myself, really, we had the incident where I think it was 9 and 3 picks. So 10 on the list was Paul Broadhurst, who was a good friend of ours, but was out of form, shall we say. And then we had Thomas Bjorn, who I think missed a cut at Munich. And then, of course, we had Darren Clark, didn't play a lot because his wife was ill and passed away. And Lee West was sort of in and out of form, and he wasn't qualified. So in the end, we didn't pick Paul. We didn't pick the next one down, Bjorn. We went for Clark and Westwood because they been done really well in the past Ryder Cups, and good Ryder Cup players, strong Ryder Cup players. And you probably remember at the time, Thomas Bjorn made a big thing of it, and he kicked off in the press and made things very uncomfortable for Ian, really, and the whole thing. But at the end of the day, we made the decision, and we made the right decision. They both performed fantastically well, and we won by record points. So it was a great experience, and really, those guys know what they're doing. You just got to try and keep them on an even keel. Make things don't sort of get in the way, and they're such good players. They do it every week. It's just a matter of keeping them together, try and bond them together, and not really self-destructing anyway.
Was it a different type of experience for you? Obviously, the sort of new modern crop of players coming through, the likes of Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson. Was it a different experience for you?
I think it was a different experience in the fact watching. I think watching was really, really tough to watch at times. You felt so helpless, really. It's like you're used to trying to control the situation where it's out of your hands. I mean, even going into the singles, I think we're 4 points ahead, and you felt nervous about it, and it's just and then you get 5 or 6 points ahead, you're thinking, oh God, if this happens, that happens. So until it's actually done and won, it's a funny situation. And then you're watching them, Tiger Woods, an idol of all of us, really, and then you've got Mickelson. These are great, some of the greatest. Well, Tiger's probably, certainly top 2, top 3 greatest player of all time. So it's amazing getting so close to them and watching them perform and how they do it. And it's a bit of awe, really, I suppose. But no, it was certainly different, and it is so exciting. And particularly at the K Club at the time, the Ireland was absolutely bouncing. The economy was so good, the people having a great time. The Ryder Cup was, really, you couldn't get a ticket for love or for money, and so it was just a brilliant occasion.
And fast forward to now, you've won in 4 different decades. Some feat, isn't it?
Yeah, that's something I'm really, really proud about. Yeah, I mean, it's you don't set out, you don't think that, I suppose, when you set out, but you just want to keep going and keep winning. And obviously, if I just keep going, really, you want to be competitive. I think as long as you're competitive, it's a good thing to keep going. And it's hopefully we can get back at it. Obviously the last 18 months, I suppose, last year or so has been disappointing. Not playing last year was very disappointing, particularly as a senior, because you don't get that time back, I guess. We didn't have any events. That was a shame. But hopefully we can get some events going this year, and we can get back at it. And you certainly do. You do miss that competitive competition, and also seeing the guys and and the banter and so on and so forth. And
then, what's next for you? Is it just trying to stay competitive and competing as much as you can?
Yes, very much so. Yeah. So I've tried to be careful during the lockdown. Try and look after myself a little bit, and just try and keep things going. Fitness wise. So done a little bit more of that, and then just hopefully come back out in some sort of shape where we can get back at it quite quickly. Really. I think it's been difficult to do that, and obviously not playing golf is extremely difficult. So so I've put up a bit of a net up in the garden and hit a few in there, trying to keep going, and done sort of wreck the back lawn with a bit of chipping, so which isn't the best, but it'll grow back. So yeah, just bits like that, really try and keep going.
Perfect. Thanks for your time, Peter. I really appreciate that.
No problem, Matt, and best of luck. Hope it all goes well.